There is no way to get out of Afghanistan after 20 years easily. Not possible, no matter when you did it. And I make no apologies for what I did. I have a great concern for the women and men who were blown up on the line at the airport.
No apologies. 13 servicemen are dead. Maybe it would have made sense to get our friends and regular people out before actually getting the troops out. That was President Biden Wednesday, saying he has nothing to apologize for after the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, where 13 service members were killed and many Americans remain stranded behind now enemy lines of the Taliban. Biden's first year marred by surging inflation, an ongoing border and supply chain crisis, Build Back Better failure, and the Supreme Court blocking his vaccine mandate as unconstitutional. Joining me right now is California Congressman Darrell Issa. He is a member of the Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. And Congressman, it is always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for being here. Assess 1 year in for this administration for us.
Well, I think it was best said in his own press conference, if you have no apologies, that means you did it deliberately. If you had no apologies, that means you meant to do it. The president meant to let more than 1 million people illegally parole them into this country because it was good for future Democratic votes. He meant to disrupt the supply chain because he thought he could blame the president. He meant to withdraw clumsily from Afghanistan because he believed he could blame his predecessor. And the list goes on. Maria, this is a presidency that a lot of people keep thinking, oh, he's out of touch. Poor Joe is so old. No. Joe Biden is doing exactly what he wants to do. He surrounds himself with people who support those policies, and those policies are destroying America. You know, Make America Great Again was a wonderful theme, and a lot of progress was being made. A lot of it was done on the backs of Americans who bought into the idea that you would invest in America, that the border would be secure, that you would train American workers. This whole policy that was working, that lowered our inflation to essentially zero while raising prosperity for all, including many of those who had been left behind, minorities in the inner city. It's all being reversed. The reality is this president benefits by poor inner city kids growing up thinking that they have to rely on their government rather than a good job with a company that will pay them a good living wage because there's prosperity. Open borders undermines that. Actually, when you look at the military, it's not just Afghanistan. He has cut our future fighting capability, including those who will respond to the China threat. And he has told Putin he can have a minor incursion, meaning he can take half of Ukraine, including the capital.
Unbelievable. It's just extraordinary. And I think most people are really upset by the lies on top of the incompetence. I mean, when he is faced with a question about why he did something, he just lies about it. And that's what we saw once again. In fact, there's an increasing feeling from the people that I've spoken with that the whole reason he came out with a vaccine mandate was to cover up the Afghanistan withdrawal. Remember, it was the same week, and he knew it was unconstitutional, but wanted to jam it anyway through so that we would be talking about that versus the Afghanistan withdrawal that was so botched. Now we still have people behind enemy lines. He said that the Build Back Better agenda would cost zero, that it would help inflation. No. He said that if you were vaccinated, you weren't getting COVID. No. He said that the border was closed. No, you are one of a dozen of lawmakers in the House and Senate asking for the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General to investigate Joe Biden's actions at the border. Tell me about this, because Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is patting himself on the back, saying that the U.S. has fundamentally changed immigration enforcement. We've got 2 million people apprehended in the last year, Congressman. 650,000 others got away, and we're expecting record numbers to continue with this wide open border, which is also allowing illicit narcotics into the country, killing Americans.
Well, as was said yesterday, as we marked a year of this president, we now have enough fentanyl in this country to, if taken at one time, to kill every American. That's how much is there. And what it's killing piece by piece, those who take it. And in fact, open borders have contributed to that. But, you know, you gave some very important figures. Often people say, well, we've apprehended 2 million. Apprehended doesn't mean that they were sent home. With this president's policy, they were apprehended and Ubered to the airport with tickets at taxpayers' expense. So the challenge we're facing is insurmountable in the way of this open border policy. I want to add one more last thing that deeply concerns me, and that is the demoralizing of our U.S. military. As we speak, Navy chaplains are being thrown out because they've been denied their religious exemptions for the mandate on the vaccine for religious purposes. People who have previously been granted those religious exemptions on other vaccines are being summarily turned down. What we're doing is we're saying that the First Amendment, that religious convictions are no longer compatible with the military, period. I spoke to a Navy chaplain, a commander, 16 years of service, a Lutheran minister. He's being thrown out. He's proud to put his faith first, but the reality is the demoralizing effect on the military is going to go on for generations. This is a repeat of the Jimmy Carter era. Military is being demoralized. Weapon systems that are necessary are being delayed. And the reality is that Ronald Reagan told us something we must remember. No war in his lifetime was caused by being too strong. Wars are caused by us perceived to be weak enough for the enemies to take what they want. That's exactly what's happening in Ukraine, and it's what's going to happen in Taiwan if we don't reverse this trend today.
Well, Congressman, our adversaries are on the march. Is it the fact that he has conflicts of interest? All that money that Hunter Biden took in, is that why he will not address the issues around China? He hasn't even brought up the origins of the pandemic to Xi Jinping in 4 multi-hour conversations on the phone.
There's no question at all that there's a natural conflict that he has because of Hunter Biden and because of his policies for years assumed that you could essentially export U.S. jobs and it was okay. He's always been protect union jobs but export a lot of jobs to offset it. Those policies are really at the core of who he's been, as he's been. They used to call him the Amtrak senator because he would go home every night on the train, and that was the one thing you count on is he would support the train. These policies are consistent with it, and there are conflicts. But the most important thing is it's a conflict with his pledge to protect and defend America from its enemies, foreign and domestic. He's not doing that at all. And this is not an accident. Please, Maria, don't give him a pass because he's old and feeble. He is doing this. He knows what he's doing, and he has to be stopped.
This is a national security risk. Darrell Issa, good to see you. Thanks very much for weighing in on all of that. Maria.